Hello, my wonderful peeps! This is Jacob Holgerson, and I'm hoping that both you and those close to you are doing well in these troubled times. In the last episode, I explained how the guns worked and how I'm currently making significant changes to make them nice and visceral, just the way I want them to be. The episode mostly covered a bunch of nitty and gritty details and only covered fun, visceral aspects towards the very end. This episode will have a firm focus on the fun stuff. The stuff I did in the last episode is a nice segue onto what I did next, because while both the pistol and assault rifle had reload animations, there were no actual animations involved for the shotgun. Because while both the pistol and assault rifle had reload animations, there were no actual magazines involved. The protagonist's hands just moved through the air. The shotgun also didn't originally have a reload animation at all. As I wasn't able to find a suitable one, I decided to modify the IK script I made previously to help me achieve the effect I wanted. So what I did was that I added a magazine model as a child object for each of the concerned weapons. When players hit the reload buttons, a prefab magazine is spawned in the place of the local magazine. This magazine drops to the ground, as one might expect, while the original magazine is teleported to the protagonist's pocket. It then moves along a preset path to the magazine well. This is done by lerping between an array of transforms. Great! Now we have a magazine that moves in a desirable way, but it's completely out of whack with what the hands are doing. So the next step was to modify last episode's inverse kinematic script to make the protagonist hold on to the magazine while it's animating, and then let go. Of course, for the shotgun, I did the same thing, except that I repeated the process for each shell inserted into the gun. And while we're talking about the shotgun and its shells, I made another improvement, which was the addition of spent casings. And that's, of course, because pump-action shotguns are much slower than other guns. While the rest of the weapons can eject casings at the same frame as the bullet is fired, the shotgun only ejects casings when the protagonist pumps the action manually. This is a very basic addition that helps to sell the idea of the shotgun as a slow and powerful weapon. With this round of animations done, I decided to proceed to visual effects. First up were the muzzle flashes. I've actually iterated through numerous different types of muzzle flashes, including particles and even meshes. In the end, I turned towards tutorials, and I ended up using the most common type of muzzle flash. This basically means 3 intersecting planes with textures assigned to each. These use emissive textures, and through code I animate the opacity and the emissiveness. To prevent the flashes from looking the same, I chose to add a bit of randomness to their scale and rotation, as well as tinting them in different colors. The flashes themselves are perhaps of interest in and of themselves. The base flash used by most weapons under normal conditions is just a somewhat random blotch. There's not much to say about it, except that it's a blotch that's been given a bit of attention from a smudge tool. The assault rifle actually uses the same blotch, only rescaled, and with the addition of flames shooting out of the muzzle device. This was quite simply done through the addition of a plane with a texture. These flames shooting out from the sides were actually just ellipses, with a bit of hand doodling to create a sense of irregularity and flaminess. And speaking of fire, the other quote-unquote special flash is the machine gun when it shoots flaming bullets. This flash works from the same principles as a regular flash, with the exception that I actually use a photo of a fire from my grill last year and just adapt it to this purpose. Next point is the perhaps most artistic, if I may express myself in such a manner, and that's the effects for bullets hitting enemies and other surfaces. Bad Girl is intended to be fun, fast-paced, and quite light-hearted, so the idea has always been to steer away from using blood to indicate hits. So the original idea was to mimic light gun games from the mid-90s by using basic sprites to indicate hits. The effects looked flat, dated, and caused negative feedback, so I decided to redo them. Perhaps somewhat ironically, I started off with the effect caused when players missed their target and hit the wall. Now, finding a cool effect from 90s games proved slightly difficult, but then I watched some 90s action movies and noticed that very often they featured sparks, regardless if the bullets were hitting metal, wood, or plastic. So, a bit of an homage to 90s classics by John Woo, among others. This is what I made. Now onto the actual hit effects. For regular hits, I took inspiration from Perfect Dark, where they used what I like to describe as gusts of wind being deflected when the bullets hit. This signifies a normal hit and is used by most weapons under normal circumstances. This means normal shots from both a pistol, assault rifle, machine gun, and shotgun. For the pistol's power shot, I decided to add something different, something I felt would convey power and precision, so I used blue particles. Lastly, we have the machine gun, and what happens when a flaming bullet hits a target. For this, I decided to implement a shock disc explosion. It seems suitable as the enemies you hit are actually set on fire when this happens. This is the effect I'm, at this stage, most uncertain of, although I feel that this already is a significant improvement from what I used before. I can tone it down or I can replace it later on. And the same thing can be said for virtually all of the hit effects. They're a significant improvement over what I had, yet perhaps not what the game will have in the end. And that's a good place to leave things for today. Before you leave, I would like you to be awesome and click that like and subscribe button. If you have any feedback on the game or this series, please leave it in the comment sections below. Until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, stay you.